I'm really excited about scaling. I want more clients and a wider variety of clients. So I'm trying to fish in lots of ponds, right? I've been kind of in one spot. It's been really interesting, but I'm like, how can I touch more people? How can I tap into populations that this would be my coaching, my offering would be most interesting? I've been doing lots of testing out who responds, what are populations that are ready to work with someone like me, ready for me. This year is a lot about doing experimenting. I'm doing lots of experiments, seeing what works. And then next year, I think it'll be more like, okay, putting my chips in that pile.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Pedro, and today's guest is Stacy Heisey-Terrell, a career ownership coach who helps professionals explore self-sufficiency and alternative paths beyond the traditional job market. She works with people facing career transitions, downsizing, frustration, or a desire for new challenges, creating a safe space to clarify goals and explore real options without pressure. Through the Entrepreneur Source, she guides clients through education and discovery to build income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity on their own terms. Her work is grounded in one principle: helping people take control of their future with clarity and confidence. Welcome to the show, Stacy. Great to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited to talk with you. I know we have some connections in common. I'm going to shout out to Myrna King, which introduced us, right? So, Myrna, Thank you for introducing me to Stacy. But then again, I like to rewind a bit, go back to the origin story a bit. Every coach has that moment where they look at their life and, you know what? I guess this is what I'm doing now, right? So when was that for you, Stacy?
Well, my background is in human resources. So I feel like I've been coaching most of my career. But while I was working for big corporations, my coaching was to help leaders and employees be better leaders and employees for that corporation. And then about 3 years ago, things changed and I was able to move myself to the driver's seat and take charge of my own career and open my business. And now I'm still doing that coaching, but instead of from a corporation's perspective, from the individual's perspective. What would make that leader happy? How does their career help them get to their goals? So it's a much more gratifying seat to sit in. But I've been coaching for a while.
You know, that's very interesting, especially the fact that at the end of the day, you've been coaching for a while before you started a business, right? So my question is, when did it shift from I'm helping people to what? I'm building a real business around this now?
Well, I felt in working, I kept hitting walls working for other people, right? Where I didn't feel I was able to help people as much as I wanted. I couldn't focus on the things that I wanted to fill my day with. And it was really frustrating. And I came to a place where I was looking for jobs. I wasn't really getting anywhere. I wasn't really excited about the process. And I met a coach, and through working with him on my goals and really what I wanted my life to look like, it opened my eyes to, gosh, I never really saw myself as a business owner, but I was like, I could totally do this, right? And build those components into my day that I really enjoy doing. But how do you make that profitable? How do you turn that into a thing? And so working through a coach helped me do that. So it was really kind of born out of my frustration and really wanting to leave the game and start my own team, right? That I opened my business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that leap, right, from turning a side hustle, a hobby, you name it, into a real business. Sometimes we see coaches that they're struggling with that, right? They're second guessing themselves, like, is
Mhm.
this really going to happen? Right. But it was so cool that you were able to do that. Right. So after you got rolling, who are the people that kept showing up? The ones you realized, okay, this is my tribe.
Yes. Well, the Entrepreneur Source, we were just talking about this, is a franchise. So I'm a franchisee. I own my business, but I'm part of a bigger network, which for me is really handy because I've got friends and peers that are doing similar types of things, hitting similar challenges. And I make good friends and colleagues through that. I've also started podcasting more, and through the podcast, I meet people like Myrna and have broadened my network to people who've been doing this a lot longer, doing it with different focuses. And it's just, I think the common theme is really that desire to see your client grow and change. And so that's really fun to see that through different aspects.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is like, I got it. You're a franchisee, right?
Mhm.
How does the process of connecting you with the, I wouldn't say the right people, but the people you want to talk with works?
Yeah.
Do they pass it along to you, or do you have some limitations that you create, just to understand your perspective from your ideal, your ICP, to be candid?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm using LinkedIn a lot. My circle of influence, I get lots of referrals too for clients, but I'm really like kind of the best at working with clients who are sort of mid-career, sort of have a story like me, right? Who have been successful in their career and might feel like, is there something more? Or I'm a little, I've hit the top of the mountain. I'm a little bored. Or maybe go through a layoff and are like, okay, do I really want to dive back into what I've been doing? Or can I try something new? And so, I usually, it's amazing to me that, you kind of put your vibes out there and the right people always seem to find you. So I've had lots of success word of mouth and, clients who have a good experience with me. Um, but then it's fun when you've got someone who really engages with the process and feels like my life is different. By taking a moment to pause, to do some self reflection, now I have a clearer vision of where I'm headed and what my future is going to be like.
Okay. I mean, so it sounds like people find you through referrals, networking, and also the franchisee module, right? Like potentially a website or something like that. So let's say
Yep.
people find you, okay? And like diving a little bit into the business side now. And they resonate with your work. And eventually they want to know what working with you actually looks like, right, Stacy? Everyone builds their coaching business a bit differently. I understand it's a franchise module, but it's different from the other person, right? You're an
Absolutely.
individual, you're a
It's me.
coach, right? So when someone actually becomes a client, what does that experience look like right now?
Well, so I work with folks a lot of times. My longer relationships with clients will be with clients who are thinking, I want to do something different. I don't want to keep doing the career that I have been doing. And so we take a lot of time to explore, well, what are those options? So for some, it might be taking their skills and expertise and just applying those in a different industry or a different type of job and getting creative about how they use their network and who they're talking to and what they could do out there. For others, and I think a lot of us can identify, right? We're like, I don't want to work with somebody else. I don't want to have a boss anymore. What else is there? And for those guys thinking about what have been those environments in their past that they've really thrived in? What were they doing? Who were they working with? Who were their customers? Who were their teammates? And then thinking about, could you replicate that in a business model? Could you go out on your own? Could you start a business and have some of those same components come up that would meet your financial needs, meet your lifestyle needs, get you to your goals, but also be really enjoyable, maybe help you leave a legacy? So finding what those goals are, what that motivation is, and then finding creative, out of the box ways to apply that is what people can expect with me when they go for this ride.
Okay. I mean, your work seems pretty hands-on, right? We're talking about almost like a custom experience,
Yes.
right? And different streams from different types of goals that people have. So, how do you think about capacity? So, don't stretch yourself too thin.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's coaching experience is a bit different. The components are very similar, right? So it's interesting to me as sitting in the coaching seat, seeing people have the ahas about the same
Mm-hmm.
time in the process, right? Is thrilling. They're ahaing on different epiphanies for them, but they're kind of hitting similar milestones. So the structure, the pace of the coaching can be very similar client to client with different outcomes or with different things kind of grabbing them or engaging them. So in that way, I'm an HR person by nature, so I like lots of structure and
Mm-hmm.
rules and guidelines, right? And milestones that we hit. So I'm pretty structured with that process. Allows me to work with radically different clients with really different backgrounds. But again, they're sort of hitting the same milestones about the same time in the journey.
Okay. One thing every coach wrestles with at some point is pricing. And I'm not talking about hard numbers, right? And especially how to package their work. Because in the service industry based, we're talking about a self-forced path sometimes. It's about our time. And I'm a career coach as well. And we're comparing to sometimes zero to I'm not doing anything to I could be doing something, right? So I'll take that client and whatever. So how do you think about it today, pricing specifically? And were there any lessons along the way that shaped how you landed where you are right now?
Yeah, well, again, my background's in HR and I like business a lot, but I never was that hands-on business person. So that was very intimidating to me thinking about this business. The franchise model has helped me tremendously with this because they have some structure and guidelines that I can plug into and not reinvent. So with my model, my coaching is actually complementary. And how I make my money is when my client does connect with resources that I provide, executive recruiters, business startup resources, and so on, then I'm paid a commission. And the franchise helps me manage those commission agreements and
Hmm.
referral fees.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It is
I like
hard.
the way
Think,
Oh, I like the way you approach price and structure, and especially how you took the franchise module to accelerate and expedite your learning process, especially when we're touching about pricing, which is sometimes we see people struggling years with.
yeah.
And now I'm curious about where you're taking all this. Looking ahead, where do you see the business going? Are you thinking about scaling, hiring, or is there a next step you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm really excited about scaling. I want more clients and a wider variety of clients. So I'm trying to fish in lots of ponds, right? I've been kind of in one spot and it's been really interesting, but I'm like, how can I touch more people? How can I tap into populations that this would be my coaching, my offering would be most interesting? So I've been doing lots of testing out who responds, what are populations that are ready to work with someone like me, ready for me.
Mm.
So this year is a lot about doing experimenting. I'm doing lots of experiments, seeing what works.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, I think it'll be more like, okay, putting my chips in that pile.
Interesting. And of course, whenever we're aiming it towards the next chapter, there's always something we're refining in the present, right? So, what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business right now?
Yeah. I think there's lots of business things because that's kind of what I came in with a lot of learning to do about the business, about marketing, some of those fundamentals, and tailoring those to me so it feels authentic to me and I'm comfortable owning those pieces. Those feel like things I have to do as a business owner, but the things that I really like to do I've been trying to hone some of my coaching, right? And get better at asking those probing questions, finding exercises that help people go deeper or have those moments where they're like, oh, or I'd forgotten this about myself or I didn't know this about myself. So to me, those are the nuggets I'm really excited to mine for. And the vegetables I have to eat are like watching my numbers, doing my marketing plan, sorts of things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're super important as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense with the path you told me you want to go with, this year and next year. So, yeah, perfect. Stacy, I want to switch gears for a second to
Sure.
something a bit more fun. None of this was not fun. Okay. If you're down for it, I got a quick game for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good, cool. Well, we'll look at this through the lens of business investments. Okay, things like coaching, training, marketing, team, masterminds, you name it. Okay, it's pretty simple. I'll give you 4 prompts, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. If there's a story behind it, even better. Okay, what's the first business investment you remember making?
The first business investment. Well, I think the first investment I made in myself, I didn't even realize I was doing this to build a business because I did it maybe 15 years before I opened a business was I got really into human resources certification. I got my PHR and I started doing professional development for myself. Really, it helped me in my job. It definitely helped me in my job. It helped in my career progression at the company I was with, but it gave me an outlet to really start developing myself and doing some things for myself. And so then as the years progressed, I'd try to find things that again help my business, could help my career and the companies I was working for, but really were interesting and edifying to me. And so then when I got to the point of like jumping off into my own business, I had a base and I had some
Mm,
capacity for thinking about what would be good for me, what would be good for my family. Where am I pointed?
nice. That was base camp for business. It's like getting the ins and outs and
Right?
establish a solidified business. Okay, that
Kind
makes
of like,
perfect
here's the
sense.
tool and here, read the
Uh-huh.
manual, how to use the tool. Okay, now put it in your pocket. You're going to need it
Right.
later.
And sometimes it's like it's knowing where to go, right? At least you have a very good foundation and now you know what you're supposed to look at. Because when any topic that we don't know anything about it, and I put myself in those shoes a lot. I don't even have a clue of what I'm doing here. I need to first find that first clue, right? To first try to in the dark, trying to understand what's happening. But yeah,
Kind
that
of
makes
learn how
perfect
to
sense.
learn about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. To
Yeah.
even make the right questions when you're talking with someone who actually knows what they're doing, you're like, okay, where do I start? So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
How do I even talk to this person? And
Yeah,
what do I even
that's
Google? Yeah.
exactly. Second one, what's the most recent one you made?
Business investment. Well, so clearly I'm a joiner, right? So I joined a network of podcasts. because I knew it's been kind of scary for me, out of my comfort zone. So I joined a group that was helping. How do you get on podcasts? What do you say? How do you perfect your message? And they have been really helpful with me honing my message, building my confidence to do more speaking engagements. So it pushed me out further, and has been really worth it.
That's interesting. Cool. I hope you use this as practice, as an exercise, and you can review down the line, right? If this worked or not, I hope so, right? I hope we have that on my end. At least you're 100% fine. Okay. So
I'm coming across, I'm speaking words and sentences. It's good.
nice. At the same time, you're practicing what you preach, right? When we're talking about transformational change that you're doing with your clients, you're asking them to get out of that comfort zone, right? So it's only fair you do the same.
That I also do some things that are new and scary and
Mm.
could not go well. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect.
It's fun.
Okay. Fun also. Okay. Third one. Let's moving forward. What is the best financial business investment you have made and why?
Moving forward, well, I think I continue to, I've been continuing to experiment, right? So I've been investing in different areas, and I don't know that I can even tell you, right? Because I'm not sure what has worked yet, right? I've invested in podcasting and some speaking engagements, going to different venues, doing some job fairs. It's all been very edifying for me. I've yet to see like which one has kind of the hard data to support a payoff. So still in experiment mode with that. But I think my biggest investment lately has been in my business, right? Just starting a business and seeing how that has radically changed me
Mm,
and my family, and my vision and hopefulness of my future has already paid off, but I'm expecting greater payoff.
yeah. Last but not least,
Mhm.
what's one investment you wish you could get your money back on?
Oh, that I wish I could get my money back on. Well, I think with some of my experiments, yeah, they have not all been, super founded in sound logic. So sometimes you look back and you go, "Oh yeah, what was I thinking?" But
Mm,
I think that is part of the learning process when you're starting a new business, was having some of those like, whoops, like I could have done that better, right? Or maybe should have waited or done it sooner. So to me, I try to reset the mindset, right? Change your mindset to, well, what did you learn? What would you do next time? So I think that is informing my year of experimentation, right? So it's smarter experiments and not like, oh yeah, I paid for this thing and I was not ready to do it, or
mm,
I didn't use it well because I wasn't practiced enough as a coach, or I didn't give it the right time to do
mm,
it. So using those things to inform, okay, what do you do now? How does that let you know let's not regret or retread, but how does that inform decisions moving forward? And I see that a lot with my clients too. You get some people who are like, oh, I wish I would have taken this job, or I wish I would have capitalized on this experience. And sometimes it just really can eat at you, that dwelling. Like, how do you take those experiences and turn them into, what does this tell you to do next time? Or how can you avoid that regret and get the most out of this next chapter? And I think sometimes that's really hard to move off of those when you feel like you've made a mistake or missed out. Uh, can be a real discipline to stay forward facing.
it sounds like part of the journey, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like me picking up my family album and I'm looking at my pictures and I'm like, what was I thinking when I was 15? And my oldest is like, "Hey, Dad, is that you?" I'm like, "Yep, sounds like it." But what's that you're wearing, Dad? I'm like, "Yeah, exactly that." So yeah, I get it. It's part of the journey. At the end of the day, you're having good and bad experiences, and they will pave the way eventually to the place you're gonna end up with. Supernatural, but it's good that we reflect on those,
Absolutely.
looking at
Yeah.
those,
Get
and
the data you need from those experiences.
exactly.
You
And how
don't
has
need to
your
wear long shorts or have a mullet anymore, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Stacy, looking at those, right? How has your approach to investing in the business changed over the years? I mean, if it has.
Yeah, I think the questions that I ask and really thinking about more than just the now, the sales pitch for what is it going to do for me now, but what is that going to do for me down the road? Is this really for me in my business? What I'm looking for is less patches and more bricks. Like, how is this building my foundation, my walls, my compound, whatever? And not just fixing, a quick fix. So asking some of those longevity questions, looking at my bank account and projecting, can I afford this long term? What is the payoff? What does that look like? Again, and I think that takes some seasoning in your business
Mm-hmm.
to be able to look beyond the now. What is this going to do for me down the road? How does this make me a better coach, make my business more solid, fill in a blank that I was missing, have some strategy and vision for what is this going to do long term? For me has been that challenge to get beyond the end of my nose, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love that, especially the counter intel idea, like to backtrack a little. Let's see if this aligns in the long term and not just chasing the next hype or the next, trend.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're looking at our social media and it's like, hey, AI is going to take your job, right? And the next post is AI is dead. I love that. You're like, okay, guys, really?
Which one is right? Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Yeah.
and I think that tells you there isn't a right answer, right? We can make the right answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And Stacy, if someone listening wants to connect with you or follow your work, where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah. I am all over LinkedIn. Again, my name is kind of hard. It's Stacy Heisey-Terrell, but the easiest way to find me is my website, which is just my life, my biz, biz.com. So my life, my biz, that takes us right into a contact card. You're on my website. You can surf around a little, get on my calendar, but really reach out to talk to me. I love talking to all kinds of people. So I encourage folks, to other coaches to connect um, uh, through the contact card or LinkedIn, but clients, especially if people are feeling like, yeah, I'm not sure that my career is serving my goals, my personal goals. I might need to look at that. It's good to just take a minute to look every now and then and reassess. Am I lined up? Is this helping me?
There were a few things you shared today that really stayed with me. First, I would say when you told me you were hitting a wall in your job, and that resonates with so many
Yeah.
people. That is so true. And you're questioning yourself, like, is there a better way? At the end of the day, should I do things differently? And you start paving that ways, brick by brick, right? Starting with that course you made to understand the foundations of a business. So that really resonated with me. I really like that. Also, the power of networking. Just by asking how can people find and connect with you, you're also not just looking for clients, you're also looking for people that can be somewhat of a benefit along the journey on both ways, right? Even you or them, each way works best. So I can see that you're not just saying, because we see a lot of people putting out there, oh, the power of networking, connecting with people, but they don't actually sometimes put in the work, which is actually connect with people, actually talking with people. And they're like,
You got
I love connecting, but you know what? I don't have the time for the next 2 weeks. So I can tell you're a true you're a true connector, right? You really do that. I can tell just by talking with you. And also how being an HR person by nature affected, especially the structure you're building, right? When I asked you about the capacity and how you're thinking about structure, and that's so HR. And I love that because in a way, it's I wouldn't call it a necessary evil because we need the red tape, right?
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
also need the structure, but it needs to expedite it, not pause the work. But in the way you mentioned, it really sounds like you're just finding patterns, you're understanding the patterns, you're connecting the dots, and that helps you be more efficient. So capacity is not just like that bad on your side. So I really like that, how that affected you in your journey. And I appreciate what you do. And I appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today, Stacy. It was
Yeah.
great having you on.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Lovely conversation. I appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.